Ahead of his fight against Bilal Muhammad, Ian Machado, Garry trolls Leon Edwards, who was brutally KO'd at the weekend. BSD wants a BMF title fight against Max Holloway after his explosive 16-second knockout over Benil Dariush. And John Chanco, aka John Pork, speaks about the brawl with Dillon Danis. People, sit back, relax. MMA Monday live. Let's get into it. Big up each and every one of you. Hope you're well. Please do smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. Shout out to whoever sent over the Coppish raid. I don't know who did the show on Coppish this morning, but whoever it was, thanks for the raid. Big up to Coppish and the boys over there. Big up Matt, Drift, and the other fellow who does some content over there as well. So yes, big up to each and every one of you who've come over from Coppish. Please do hit that subscribe button and like the video as well. Just want to speak to a couple of people in the chat. Big up to Bajan Pops LFC. Hope you're well. Big up to yourself, Barovian Cop. I hope I'm saying your name right. Big up to Adam. Big up to Aquia. Pimp in Distress, my bro. Ash LFC. Big up yourself. Also Boo Rider as well. Scants. A9. Rivals 12. Pip says, Cal, if you ban me from Coppish, I'll keep the membership just to live rent free. Big out yourself, bro. Just to answer this question, Baravian, Cal, do you mainly discuss MMA UFC on your channel, or do you also discuss boxing? I also speak about boxing as well. If you go through and have a look over the last 48 hours, I've had a load of videos on the channel because it's just been so busy. We had the Eubank Ben rematch, UFC 322. So there's a load of content that you can get through after you watch this video if you want to. But yeah, I do speak about the boxing match. I'm going to speak about the upcoming boxing bouts this by the end of the week as well. Hopefully we'll get a special guest on for that, and some more content throughout the week. So yeah, busy period at the moment in MMA as the football season resumes from the international break as well. So you'll be seeing a lot of me on the screen, which is probably not, well, good or bad depending on how you guys view it. But I want to get into the first story of the day, guys, and that is Ian Machado Garry. So I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to put it full screen as well so you can see this. So
you be Leon.
Ian Machado Garry, just for context, he used to train with at Leon Edwards' gym, and they've sparred a few times, did some work together. However, it didn't really seem like it ended on good terms. I think he was told to leave the gym or asked to leave the gym. He abided by that. But since then, they've kind of taken little digs at each other since he's left the gym. And obviously, anyone who watched UFC 322 at the weekend will know that Edwards suffered his first knockout defeat against Carlos Prates in what was a brutal finish, to be honest, a really brutal finish. And Ian Machado Garry, who's fighting this weekend against Bilal Muhammad in Qatar, he decided to do this after Leon Edwards' fight, trolling him, and has released it.
Hey, Leo, you be Leon Edwards. I'm going to be Patches. Ready? Hey, Leo, you.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about that one. Now, I understand these are two fighters and they're going to troll each other. The thing with this is, though, Ian Machado Garry constantly gets at people for trolling him and saying, unpleasant things and getting on his nerves, and says he likes to try and put positivity out there. So if you're doing that, you can't then turn around and then do this. Ash, I hear what you're saying. It is banner, it is, but it's because of who it's coming from, which is the issue. And the fact that he's the first person to get on people for like trolling him. I think in isolation it's fine, but I think given what's happened between them now, it's very hypocritical of Ian Machado guys to do this. Plus, Ian's fight at the weekend, we've seen karma come back to bite people in the arse quite a few times. So look, he's done it now. It's out there. I don't think him and Leon ever will fight, if I'm going to be honest. I think that fight's past, and I think Ian Garry's on this trajectory up. Unfortunately, I think Leon's on the decline down. But Ian just got to be mindful of this. Like if Ian loses at the weekend and people troll him, I don't want to hear Ian moaning about it now. Like you've set a precedent that you've opened yourself up for this now, so he can't really say anything. Ash, this is dark, bro. Cal, you cursed Benil, interviewed him, man missed his weight for the first time, then gets flattened. So for anyone who didn't watch, I was lucky enough to interview Benil Dariush alongside my good friend Colin Crandall. We've also got an episode of MMA from London to LA coming out tomorrow morning as well, so look out for that. Yes, we did interview Benil. Yes, he did miss weight. And yes, he did lose quickly in the fight. But I don't think that's my fault. I know you guys are trying to revive this Callum Curse thing, but I'm not going to let this happen, Ash. I'm not going to let this happen, bro. Ash also going to say, Garry is boring as hell. He has to do this to hype his character. Yeah, maybe. A9 says this feels like Izzy and Pereira's son. That one was slightly different, though, because Pereira's son trolled Izzy before, and Pereira and Izzy have been trolling each other. But they've just been trolling each other in a competitive way. It's never been personal. Ian has a personal issue with Leon Edwards. So, yeah. Yeah, very true, though. Ash said Gary's on his Colby arc, villain arc. I don't think anyone's on the Colby Covington villain arc. I don't think anyone is. I hope he's not. I really hope he's not. Great UFC show up until the main event. JDM will go down as one of the worst UFC champs ever. It's weird you say that because the last 3 welterweight champs have all been labeled with this now. Leon, everyone said Leon will go down as one of the worst welterweight champions. And then they said Bilal will, and now they're saying JDM will. I think you've got to look at the people who have beat them for the belts. Now, granted, Edwards lost to Bilal and then Bilal lost to JDM, but Islam for me is like, Islam, in my opinion, would have beaten Bilal Muhammad and he would have beaten Leon Edwards as well. So I don't think there's too much shame in JDM losing. It's probably the manner in which he lost, which is a bit crazy, but I hear it. Big up John Conway in the chat. Big up Liam as well in the chat. I think I shouted you out, but I'll shout you again. Big up A9 as well. Scans Ian Clown. Ian's a clown and cries wolf when it's him. I want to call him a clown. I actually don't have an issue with I see tomatoes in the chat. I don't have an issue with Ian Garry. I actually quite like Ian Garry, the person. And I've heard a lot of people say good things about him. I've got a couple of friends who have actually done some training with Ian Garry and have got nothing but good things to say about him. And the friends who I have who spoke about Ian Garry, they're very, very good people themselves. So they wouldn't have just said it for the sake of it. I just don't think he needs to do stuff like this. Personally, I think he needs to let his fighting do the talking. And look, I know people will sit there and go, he's not the most exciting of fighters. I get it, but I'm maybe I'm the wrong person to speak to because I'm a purist when it comes to the sport, and I love someone with a great skill set, and I think he's got a great skill set, and I think it's on the opposition to disrupt that skill set and to make them fight more exciting. If Ian Garry can beat someone by standing at range and picking them apart, then there's no reason for him to go in and try and have a brawl. So I think it's on the onus of the opposition to try and do that as well. So big up yourself, Owen Verts as well. Boo Rider, I'm not going to read that one out because I think that's a bit mad. Ash says, yeah, no shade on Islam, just Leon, Bully and JDM is a horrible run. Look, I'll be honest, I can see the welterweight belt changing quite a lot over the next couple of years because everyone in that division is a killer. We saw it the weekend, man. And think about this. You've got Ian, who's only had 1 loss. Shavkat is undefeated. Michael Morales is undefeated. Prates has only had a few losses and has only had one loss in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. Brady's only had 2 losses. I know he lost really bad at the weekend, but he's only had 2 losses. Like Bilal Muhammad's still there, who's a former champion. JDM's only had 1 loss in the UFC. Makhachev's the champion. Like, that's 8 fighters out of the top 10. That the division is crazy. A9, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd love to see Hamzat move back down in weight. I just don't think he will. But if Hamzat can make 170 and you add Hamzat to the mix, then we're really talking and having fun. Big up to Josh in the chat as well. Owen says, Cal, who do you think wins out of Islam and Shavkat? I think I'd actually go Shavkat. I think Shavkat can disrupt Islam's rhythm with the wrestling, and I also think he's just a good a striker as Islam, and he's the bigger man as well. So I'd actually favor Shavkat in that fight, but at the same time, you can't be counting out Islam Makhachev. A9, Islam versus Hamzat. OMG, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Hamzat versus any of those 8 I mentioned would be crazy. I really do wish we got to see Hamzat a bit more at 170. I really, really do. But he's a champion at 185. If he can get down to 170, then let's do it, man. Let's do it. Josh said, I left a comment on your Edwards versus Prates reaction video. Time for Leon to move sports or change coach. Sorry, I forgot Michael Morales as well, Ash. Sorry, Josh. Yeah, I do think he needs to change something within his camp potentially. I don't subscribe to the notion that he has to necessarily leave his camp, but I think they need to bring in some new ideas, because what it seems like from the outside looking in is he's the best fighter in that camp by quite a distance, him and his brother. And if that's the case, I don't know if he's being pushed on a regular basis to make him improve. Like, he obviously got to the top, won the belt and everything, but has he really progressed since then? You'd arguably say no. The fights against Usman, well, especially the 3rd fight against Usman and the fight against Colby, he really looked like he'd leveled up. And then the Bilal fight, and the Brady fight were really bad. The Prates one, I can kind of be like, okay, fair enough, because Prates hits anyone at 170, they're going to sleep potentially. Like we saw what he did to Ian Garry in the final round of their fight. It seems as though he can be mentally broken quite quickly and easily, which isn't a good thing as a top elite level fighter. Not just that, his game plan against Prates as well. Like, you saw what worked in the 1st round. Why didn't you try and do that in the 2nd round? And for me, that's where, yeah, it's been a bit crazy. But yeah, we'll see. Speaking of crazy, Benoît Saint Denis fought Beneil Dariush and beat him in 16 seconds. Like, literally, me and Jamie were doing the watch along to begin with before Luke Tanner joined us, and we were syncing up, making sure we got the times in line with each other. And by the time, we couldn't even sync up until the 2nd fight, because the fight was over before we even got a chance to sync up. Beneil rushed, and then BSD caught him with a beautiful left hook to the ear, and then finished it with a right hand to the grounded opponent. He is called for a fight with Max Holloway. Now, I get it. He's got to shoot his shot. And I admire him for doing that, because there's no point sitting there going, I don't want to target one of these top 5 fighters. But currently, BSD before his victory was number 13 for number 13 in the division. Now, Beneil was number 9. So in my opinion, he'll replace Beneil and he'll become number 9 in the division. So he'll break the top 10. Max Holloway is ranked number 4. And there's already talks that Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira are going to fight each other for the BMF. With all due respect to BSD, like, BSD is a badass and he can fight and he's strong. He's good on the ground, and his striking was evident to see as well. I'm not taking a BSD versus Holloway over a Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, though. And I don't think the UFC will. And if I'm going to be honest, I think BSD might have to do a little bit more work before he gets a title fight as a BMF personally. Now, I think there's other fights for him at 55, which are very exciting. For example, the Gamrot fight, which I spoke about in my video, which looks at every fight to make in the UFC after UFC 322. I think him versus Gamrot could be a really good fight, and I think makes sense for the division. I just don't think it makes sense for him to fight Max Holloway, and I don't think Max takes the fight either. Liam says Leon got gone scared to trade. In my opinion, I think that Nate Diaz fight possibly changed his mindset about striking and being so aggressive, because he was really aggressive in that fight, got caught, and then kind of changed after that. Josh says Islam versus Shavkat for the belt, Morales versus Pratis for #1 contender spot. I agree with that, but you've also got to factor in what happens with Belal Muhammad and Ian Garry this weekend as well. Leon too passive, he ain't quick enough and doesn't move to be a counter striker. He used to, though. This is what is so frustrating. He used to. Ash says, if Islam only has 2 more fights, you can pick them, Cal. Who you choosing? Oh, Ash, these are sort of questions that are brilliant, but also make me think way more than I want to on a Monday morning. But I have to honor your question, bro. If I had to pick 2 more fights for Islam Makhachev, realistically, Ilia Topuria at 55, and I'd like to see him fight Michael Morales or Shavkat. If I had to pick one of the 2, I'll go Shavkat. So Ilia Topuria and Shavkat. Great question, though. Who would you like to see, Ash? If I was to ask you, who would you like to see? A9 says, Cal, since Islam moved up in weight, could we see Usman Nurmagomedov in the UFC next year? Yeah, I expect to see that anytime. As soon as his contract finishes, which I do think is next year, or he fights out the last fight in his contract, he'll be over in the UFC in no time, and he might wreak havoc in that 55-pound division. And look, we need some fresh blood in that division. That division, I won't say it's become stale, but it's become very much a political division whereby everyone's sitting on their ranking rather than fighting people. So, yeah, I do think he'll be over in no time, personally. Right, on to the third topic. And just get to it for you guys. You would have seen John Chanco, part of Khabib and Islam Makhachev's camp, was involved in a massive brawl at UFC 322. And this is what he had to say about it. Obviously, you'll have to see the subtitles, guys.
Ты же кулак даже разбил, потому что на фотографии видно.
Да, вот здесь чуть царапина. Об зуб, походу, я не знаю, куда. И этим тоже чуть вот здесь попало ему, вот шишка появилась.
Я надеюсь, ты же только в него попадал, ты там не кому-то, так скажем...
Не-не-не, охрана не попал, хоть хорошо. Никого не попал. Только его бил.
Ну, сейчас единственное...
Ну, реально, это, я считаю, даже это мало. Извиняюсь, что перебил, но это мало для него. За его поступки это мало. Такие вещи не прощаются. За каждое слово ты должен отвечать. У нас такие стереотипы, что ты сказал, ты должен за свои слова ответить. Но он... Это для них, видишь, у них, я не знаю, как они живут здесь. Что хотят, говорят, могут семью задеть. И для них это ничего. А для нас все, каждое слово, это все для нас святое, и нужно отвечать.
Right, I'll break this down. I hear what he's saying. I'm not going to lie. So he's basically saying, in a nutshell, that yes, he did have a brawl with Dillon Danis. He hit him a few times, as you can see on the video. It wasn't just him, though. It was other people in the camp. He said that he doesn't regret doing it. In fact, he wishes he had done more because of the stuff that Dillon Danis has said and done in the past. And he personally believes that people should be made responsible for the words they say and the actions that they do. And it's their culture and it's how they live. So he deserved what he got. This is why I say this. Look, especially with the rise of social media and the internet, people have become very comfortable saying things, especially online, and then acting like there shouldn't be any repercussions. Dillon Danis should have known better. Dillon Danis has said and done some wild stuff on social media. Some of it's been funny. Some of it, in my opinion, has stepped over the line. but you have to be mindful if you're going to say stuff on social media. And look, to be fair to Danis, he does stand on business because he was there by himself and he took his beating like a man, but also was fighting back as well. Do I agree with him getting like jumped by so many people? No. And to be fair to Chanco, yes, he might have got some punches in, but he wasn't the only one. But he didn't do it by himself. Like that has to be cleared up. But at the same time, Dillon is asking for trouble by the stuff that he does. He was, even Masvidal said that like he wanted to get to Dillon Danis, and they had to separate Masvidal from him. Then obviously he ends up in the area where Khabib and Islam Makhachev's team is, and then you see what happens there. For me, Dillon's just got to turn, stop doing this. And look, he's been banned now from all UFC events, which again is now he's now put himself in a crap position because he could have signed for the UFC and got some of these fights and made some money, but he's not going to get to do that now. Shout out to Liam, says Danis got rocked by Anthony Taylor, who was too bad to box pro, so went to Misfits. He did. Didn't actually get dropped by him, but again, yeah. Liam says, why is Dillon still beef with Team Khabib? They'll batter him. Look, I just think it's a bit crazy. He just needs to stop now, man. He needs to stop, get back to what he does, which is fighting. We barely see him fight. He hasn't really settled in a promotion, but he needs to just get back to doing that if that's what he wants to do. And look, he says he's great. He's got to go out and prove it because not a lot of people believe him because he does more talking than fighting, unfortunately. But at the same time, from Khabib's camp as well, it's not a good look getting into brawls either at Madison Square Garden. It's not a good look for the sport. So he's got to be mindful. And I'll be honest, the fact that he's come out and been so like public about the fact that they did this, it kind of shines a bad light on UFC because like it basically is him saying, yeah, I did what I did, but I'm going to get away with it because I'm part of Khabib and Islam Makhachev's camp. If this had been someone else, I don't think Dana would be so lenient about it. And I don't think the UFC would be either. So yeah, I think something needs to be done about that sort of stuff. Shout out to Mantis, says, yeah, their culture is strict. I mean, look at Islam and Dustin. Dustin said, let's go, mother effer, brother. You don't say mother effer. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Obviously, there was a bit of a language barrier there as well. Ash says, Danis thinks he's got McGregor aura, but he ain't got the CV to back it up. Completely agree. Yeah. Cal, what's your take on Anthony Yard's next fight coming up? I'm going to do a breakdown of that fight probably on Friday. So, yeah, stick around for that. I'm hoping Anthony Yard gets the job done, but it's a really, really, really tough ask if I'm going to be honest. Ash says, Shavkat 2 see a technical battle and Tapori because the sport needs it. We need pound for pound number 1 versus pound for pound number 2. I'm going to be honest, guys. I've resigned myself to not thinking we're going to see that fight. I don't see Ilya going up to 170. He's still got work to do at 55, and I don't see Makhachev ever going back down to 55 either. I don't think we see that fight, unfortunately. If we do, we'll see it at 70, where I think Islam has too many advantages, if I'm going to be honest. So, look, again, time will tell, but I kind of resigned myself to think we're not going to see that, which is unfortunate because I do think the fight was so close and could have been made. But Islam had his own dreams and aspirations, and I can't knock a man for that, especially when he had been so active at 55 as well when he was able to be. So, yeah, I don't think we'll see that. Derek says, on Ringwalks, Cal, Corey Spinks versus Judah or Eubank versus Ben 2. I may even go, I think I'll go Eubank Ben 1. I think because of the whole fanfare around not knowing if Senior would be there or not, I think the first one. But if I'm going to answer this question specifically, I'd probably go Eubank Ben 2. Like 50 Cent coming out with him and Nigel and Conor Ben dancing the stage with the drummers. Yeah, it's one thing I will say, even though the fight wasn't between two world-class boxers, one thing I will say is they know how to put on a show, man. Matchroom, they know how to put on a show and they know how to get a crowd hype. And from what I've been told by anyone who's attended, the atmosphere in there was absolutely insane. So yeah, we'll see. Matthew, does Usman beat Islam Makhachev? As in Kamaru Usman, I think he does. I think Kamaru Usman's a stylistic, horrible match for Makhachev. I think he hits harder than Makhachev. I think his wrestling, takedown defense, and offensive wrestling is brilliant. Makhachev's got better jiu-jitsu, but Usman, I think, has got better striking, and he's a stronger, bigger man. I think he beats Makhachev personally. I think it's a horrible match. Horrible match. Physically, he's just so much more big. So much bigger than Makhachev. Stylistically, I think it's a horrible match. Those knees, though, I hear it, but I think Usman's got one more in him. Pause. Mantis says that Ewing kid looks very slick, Cal, very impressive. Oh, he was excellent. That fight with Malcolm Wellmaker, brilliant. Fight of the night, in my opinion. It's a shame it wasn't higher up on the card, because that'd have really, really gone crazy with the arena. Josh said it's because of Ali Abdelaziz, his manager for a lot of the fighters. The fighters get away with a lot. Yeah, they do. Yeah, Ali's got that pull with the UFC, it seems, and has done for some years now, which a little bit of a conflict of interest and not necessarily fair to other fighters, but it is what it is. It's why he gets so many people signing with his stable as well, because he gets stuff done. And look, I know not a lot of people like Ali Abdelaziz, but in terms of what he does for his job, which is get the best for his fighters, he can't be faulted. And you only have to look at how his fighters are with him. They love him. They absolutely love him. So he must be doing something right. Big up Derek, says no one. Nice one, Cal, but I'm a boxing coach. I went for Spinks, must be age. It might be, to be fair, bro. It might be. But big up yourself on being a boxing coach. Whereabouts do you coach and whereabouts do you train? But big up yourself, man. Anyone who coaches any sport, I always have a special admiration for, because it's a very selfless and sometimes an underappreciated job as well. So big up yourself, Derek, man. Mantis says, true, Josh, but look what Kamara did to Masvidal. Yeah. Ali also negotiates lower fight pay packets, which is why UFC love him. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I might have to do a little research on that, Josh, and maybe do a video. Boxing IQ in Neasden. Big up yourself, Derek. I'll check that out online. Barovian says, Cal, thoughts on Ben Eubank fight? Conor Ben was more disciplined than the first fight and implemented his game plan well, but Eubank Jr. looked like he aged overnight. Yeah, I did a video breakdown on this, so I might ask you guys cheekily to go and have a look at that for a more in-depth breakdown on the fight. But just to answer this question, bro, Ben was more disciplined. Eubank did just look like a shell of himself in there, and it wasn't nice seeing that. And there's an argument to say a better fighter would have got Eubank out of there very early in that fight. But at the same time, you still have to give Conor Ben credit, because he is still quite inexperienced for this level. So, yeah, man. It's a bit sad seeing Eubank Jr. like that. Josh says, trust me, Cal, research Ali, a very shady character. I started looking into him after the McGregor spoke about. Yeah, no, I've looked into that. I just didn't know about the fighter pay stuff. I know all of that stuff though, Josh. Yeah, trust me, dark stuff, some dark stuff. Manti says, what did you make? I'm gonna say, what did you make of the Islam fight? I don't know, man. Been watching UFC since UFC 100. Seeing a man like Islam just completely shut down a very skilled fighter amazes me. I think that the fact that it amazes you should be a good thing, bro. I understand it's not the most exciting thing to watch. I do get that. But if I'm Islam Makhachev moving up in weight to someone who's considered to be one of the better strikers in the division, and I'm controlling them on the ground, I'm not going to change my game plan, bro. I'm just not. This is why I understand people getting frustrated, but I personally can't, because I understand why not to change it. Like, I've sparred with people, and if I'm able to just pick someone apart with a jab, I'm not just going to start like doing phone booth stuff with that person. I'm going to keep on picking them apart with the jab. Same way in jiu-jitsu. If I know I can get to someone's back and choke them out, I'm not going to play about in their guard and all this stuff. I'm just going to take their back and continue to choke them out. So I get it's not the most exciting, but I also find it fascinating that he can go out there and control another elite level fighter as well. So I hear it. The one thing I will say, I think has been unfairly labeled at both Hamza and Makhachev recently, because of the way they won their fights, is that they're boring fighters. You only have to look at their resume and see how many finishes they've got and how they finish people. I just think they had to play a little bit safe just to capture the gold, and then I think you'll see them be a bit more explosive and take a few more risks in their next few fights. So we'll see. Shout out to Mantis, says, I'm South African. I've met DDP, huge fan. Can't fault Hamzat completely shutting down. DDP is a wild man. Yeah, I hear it, bro. I hear it. And I'll be honest with you, I used to dislike DDP a lot. I really grown to like the guy now. It's probably because I'm such a big Izzy fan. I didn't quite like what he said about the whole Africa thing as well at the time. But yeah, DDP he's a beast, man. He's a beast. I'm really intrigued to see who he fights next. I want to see him back in the cage, man. So yeah, but people, look, I'm gonna wrap up there. As I said already, please do smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Trying to get to 8,000 subs, so please do help where you can if you haven't already subscribed. And look, people, check out some of the older videos, or the videos I've done over the last 24 to 48 hours. Some really good stuff there. There's a reaction video of all the content creators and fighters who saw the knockout of Prates and Leon Edwards. A UFC 322 review show, Conor Ben Eubank video as well. I want to say there's another video, and then tomorrow morning there'll be more videos, and there'll be another video tonight as well. So yes, genuine a lot of content, but I'm trying to grow this channel. Want to get to 10k ASAP. Want to get some sponsorship on this channel and on Copy. So if anyone can suggest any good sponsors and stuff like that as well, do let me know. But people, it's been a blessing having you in the chat. Thanks so much for following over from Coppish as well. Till we see you again. It's been the Sanderson Show. Bye now, you go. Take care, people. Enough love.